In this video, I'm going to be working my way around the world, taking iconic places from various continents and countries and rebuilding them in Lego. This is going to be a real challenge, but let's get it. Okay, so there's 7 continents and 195 countries around the world, so we got no time to waste. Let's start where I live, the United States of America. I have some Native American and cowboy minifigures, so how about we make something from the Wild West? Best example I can think of is the Grand Canyon, a giant rock formation that spans thousands of miles and has a river flowing through it. So to build this in Lego, I'll take a bunch of colors and layer them so it looks like an eroded cliff. On one side of the canyon, I'll add my Indians, and on the other side, I'll add my cowboys. And finally, we can use some transparent studs to form a river going through the middle. And just like that, our first iconic landmark is complete. Just above me is Canada, the country known for hockey, maple syrup, super nice people, and this hotel I found on the internet that's legit made of ice. Like, how the heck are you supposed to sleep in here? I have some transparent pieces, which I think will be perfect, so we can build some flooring, add a few walls, and then start throwing in some luxurious furniture to make one of the most oddly satisfying hotel rooms I've ever laid eyes on. And just below me is Mexico, known for its rich culture, delicious food, and Chichen Itza, which is an ancient ruin built by the Mayan people. Just like any pyramid, I'll start with a wide base and make it narrow towards the top. I also added staircases on each side with some grill pieces, and we can also add some miniature people using studs. And just like that, we have a micro-scale version of Chichen Itza. What about the Caribbean islands? It's a hotspot for warm weather, lush nature, and great sea life. I'll make a tropical beach using some blue pieces for water, tan pieces for sand, and green pieces for some grass. I designed my own palm tree using a 2-piece in the middle so it can bend like how palm trees do in real life. I also made a small hut, and for the roof, I used these pointy teeth pieces for hay. And lastly, I'll add some island people. Very Ooga Booga vibes. Okay, now it's time to journey our way down from North America to the continent of South America. In the giant country of Brazil is the city of Rio de Janeiro, and overlooking the city is Jesus. This is Christ the Redeemer, a large monument built on a hill. So to make it as a minifig, I'll use entirely gray pieces so it looks like stone. I used a minifigure head and hair piece, but his robe is really complicated, so I had to custom build that using some scrap parts. But what happens when I give him a bottle of water? Oh, wow. Just west of Brazil is the country of Peru, home to Machu Picchu, a gorgeous ancient city built in the mountains. I will go ahead and start with some landscaping, then add some miniature buildings using tiny tan pieces, and for the mountain right next to the city, I'll use a handful of slopes. We can also add more miniature people. And just like that, our city is completed. Literally in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, 2,000 miles off the coast of Chile is Easter Island, a tiny island that has close to 1,000 of these stone monuments that look like if someone's head got stretched. To build one of these statues in Lego, I'm gonna use a ton of differently shaped parts, and after some building, I think I've achieved the right look for a face. So we've explored North and South America, but let's journey our way across the Atlantic Ocean to Europe, specifically the country of England. On the southern side of the island is the ancient rock formation known as Stonehenge, pretty much a bunch of giant rocks that look like dominoes. So I'm gonna start with some landscaping that uses a sideways building technique. Then to make the rocks, I'm again going to use a sideways building technique. Finally, we can add some tourists staring at the rocks and taking pictures with their phone. I never thought that being next to a bunch of rocks could be such a flex, but it is. Next up on my list is Sweden. And what is Sweden famous for? Yep, IKEA, the giant furniture store. I'm gonna use some blue and yellow parts, which are the company colors. It took forever, but I also made an IKEA sign and also a Swedish flag. We can slap those on and turn the building around, because for the inside we can include a showroom with some displayed furniture, a cafeteria where someone is eating Swedish meatballs, very bussin', and downstairs we can add a checkout station with some customers ready to buy furniture. IKEA did not pay me to do this, by the way. How about we make the Eiffel Tower, a 1,000-foot monument built in Paris, France over 100 years ago. It looks really complicated, but I'll start from the ground up using a ton of hinge pieces to achieve the right shaping of the tower, and after 2 hours of building, I think we have something that looks close enough to the real thing. And that actually finishes our 10th build. Germany is another country on our list, and something I love about Germany are the houses, so let's make one in Lego. For the first floor, I'll add a kitchen and dining room, then add some stone walls. For the second floor, we can add a bedroom, office, and then add more walls, a roof, then finish the outside with some flowers and a walkway. You guys are lucky because you got to see me make that in 10 seconds, but in reality, it took me probably 3 hours to make. How about we make something from the country of Greece, known for its philosophy, sus statues, the Olympics, and the Parthenon. on. A marble temple built over 2,000 years ago for the Greek goddess Athena. I'm gonna build a section of it, so let's use some cylinder bricks for the pillars, add a roof on top, and a few Greek dudes. I'm really tired right now, so let's move on. Next up is Spain, famous for its bullfighting, getting chased by bulls, and this giant Spanish fortress named the Alhambra. I started with tower number 1, which slopes upwards from the bottom, and at the top I added a Spanish guard. I then built tower number 2, but slightly differently, and added a second Spanish guard. And just like that, we have created a section of the Alhambra. You gotta roll the R's in Spain. Last European country on my list is Italy, where a lot of architecture, art, and my spaghetti comes from. How about we recreate Venice, a city built on small islands separated by canals. I'll go ahead and make the facade of a building. I also made a custom door, then I kept building, adding a balcony for the second floor. Right on top, I added a roof using some slopes, but right outside, I also added a bridge leading to another dock, and I stuck some plates underneath so minifigs can walk over it and not fall into the water. Then our Venice house was finished. Now let's move on to the continent of Africa. Starting with the country of Egypt, how about we build one of the Great Pyramids of Giza? So let's start with one layer of bricks, then continue building up, making each layer smaller and smaller until we have a complete pyramid. So far it looks pretty basic, so let's throw in some smaller parts to add detail. And lastly, let's add a few minifigures and a camel. Right off the eastern coast of Africa is Madagascar. No, not the movie, the country. The trees are super thick, and according to Google, they're called baobab trees. Instead of using 1x1 cylinder bricks or even 2x2 cylinder bricks, I'm gonna straight up use 4x4 cylinder bricks to make the trunk of the tree. And up top, we can add some branches, add some landscaping around the tree, and now I think King Julian will be very proud of me. Okay, so the most popular country for African wildlife is Kenya, located just between Madagascar and Egypt. So let's make a simple wildlife safari build with a few acacia trees, tons of animals like an elephant, couple of monkeys, ostrich, and we can also have a group of tourists with binoculars looking from a car. Right on the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe is Victoria Falls, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. To make a small version of it, I used transparent studs in different shades of blue so the water looks like it's actually falling, added some cliffs on the sides, and also added some miniature people on the edge like what people do in real life at this waterfall. I'm getting anxiety just watching this, like please don't do that. Now, it is time to explore the continent of Asia, so let's start with the tiny western country of Jordan. Within this country is Petra, an ancient city with buildings legit built into the side of a cliff, kind of like what I do in Minecraft. But to make one in Lego, I'm gonna use a ton of round bricks for columns, then just keep making it look fancy by adding small details and these statues all in one color so it blends in and looks like stone. Let's also add some dirt in front and Indiana Jones, and our ancient building is completed. Within the United Arab Emirates is the city of Dubai, home to the tallest skyscraper in the world by the name of the Burj Khalifa. I'll make a micro version of it using transparent pieces layered with gray pieces and slowly take away chunks of it as I build up. And that's actually our 20th build down. How about we make something from the country of India? Its most iconic landmark is probably the Taj Mahal, an immense mausoleum built in the 1600s by order of Emperor Shah Jahan in memory of his wife. And I'll design my own miniature version of it. I used a lot of arches, cylinder bricks, dome pieces, and even these candlesticks for miniature towers. Now let's journey our way to China, and something that fascinates me is the Great Wall of China that spans over 13,000 miles. I noticed that the wall isn't straight. It bends a lot and goes up and down, so I want my wall to be the same. To do that, I'll use angled plates to connect different segments together. To make the walls, I'll get a bunch of custom bricks together that use a lot of small parts for detail, and from there, it was just a ton of tedious work bringing up the walls, and I also added some points of elevation to make it look more interesting, and we can also add some Chinamen ready to defend the wall. Let's make something from Mother Russia. How about St. Basil's Cathedral from Moscow, the capital city? Laying down the first few pieces, I'm realizing how complicated this actually looks. All I know is that we need a load of colors. Now it's time to add all the balls. Looks good. But seriously, this was the most accurate version I could get, and the balls on top look like candy, so I kind of want to eat them. How about we travel to the country of Japan and build one of the traditional temples? I'll start with the first floor, making a deck and a single room. For the roof, I went ahead and used a hinge technique so that it bends at an angle and is very Japanese looking. I then went ahead adding more stories till it looked really tall and cool, ended it with a final roof, then threw in some ninjas because ninjas come from Japan. Now it's time to move to Australia, aka the land down under. I forgot, but because of that, we do need to rotate the screen, so there you go. An iconic landmark is probably the Sydney Opera House. I'm gonna use some tan pieces for the base, and these special roofing pieces for the little white things that stick out. I don't know what they're called. And just like that, our Sydney Opera House is complete. And finally, the last continent on our list, which is also a country, it's Antarctica. I'm going to be honest, but there's not really much to see here, just a lot of penguins. But penguins are pretty dope, so let's make 2 of them using some black and white pieces and some scuba diver flippers for their feet. After watching several travel documentaries and reading numerous Wikipedia pages to learn of these countries, I learned that the world is actually a pretty big and cool place. I know we got viewers all over the world, and I'm sorry if I didn't make your country, but hopefully I captured a lot of the highlights. Comment below what country you're from. Thank you for watching.